You should be angrier at the political elites on both sides of the aisle and the billionaire class than you are at voters on the other side of the aisle, or voters on the same side of the aisle. And let me explain. Gracie Tyson, y'all know, the black astrophysicist guy, was asked how he feels about the state of the country right now. And he was like, well, this is what people voted for. This is the reflection of the electorate. And I see people say that a lot. You got what you voted for. This is what you want. Woody. And there's such a fundamental, piece of the analysis that just seems to be missing. I absolutely believe that humans are capable of making independent, autonomous decisions that they should be held fully responsible for. And while I believe that on some level, people made the political choices that brought us to this moment right now, allowing that to be the full analysis misses such a fundamental piece. I've never read any of them stories about kids that were kept in complete isolation for years. I know there's a really famous case of dad kept his daughter in the attic, and she never got out to see people, and she never met people, and she never got sunlight, none of that shit. Have y'all seen those type of stories? So this shadow shit on my face is weird, so just bear with me. But what psychologists and doctors who studied these kind of people who grew up in complete isolation found out was that they were basically unrecognizable to the human world, right? We had no ability to relate to each other. We had no common points of reference. We had no psychological framework. We had no common ground with with people who were raised in complete isolation. And one of the conclusions that psychology has drawn from this research is that everything a person is, everything they know and believe and hold dearly, and the way they understand themselves is an absolute reflection of the world that they are born into. So there's no idea of an independent person who's making independent, autonomous decisions that are not shaped by the amount of information, the cultural norms, the practices, and the conditions that they are born into. In the US, this is inundated with white supremacy, capitalist, individualistic mindset. From the time people are small children, before they can even speak, they are bombarded with messaging and imagery that shapes them to think, believe, and move through the world in a certain kind of way. And for most of history, any meaningful effort to change that, to expose people to information that they wouldn't get on their daily lives, or to change or disrupt those narratives, has been met with the brute force of the state and the ruling class. This includes everything from socialist and communist movements in the early 20th century to TikTok today. Anytime there is a mechanism, a space, an ideology, a platform, a analytical framework, if you think in CRT, that aims to disrupt how power is concentrated, that challenges it, that organizes people, that gives people an alternative image or idea of what the world could be like, how we could live. This is why you see them attacking which books are in libraries and schools, which concepts teachers are allowed to teach. And a lot of people are upset with this administration for the extent and the pace at which it's doing it. But this has always been part of the American government. Go as far back as you want to. Go as far back as Andrew Jackson hijacking the post office to make sure that they're not delivering abolitionist mail through the literature. Go all the way back to Woodrow Wilson. Espionage acts, not letting you say anything bad about the United States. Go as far back as you need to see that this is part of our governance structure, as a part of it as the Supreme Court, as a part of it as voting every 4 years for president. The disruption of narrative disruption, the intervention of the state and the billionaire class in anything that aims to disrupt how power is concentrated, is a fundamental part of the psychological and cultural experiences of growing up as an American. See how heavily contested our educational spaces are. You see how one of the first things someone who wants to take control back and enforce a brute order, a hierarchy, resorts to is attacking schools. Everybody paying attention now because universities are under attack, and some of our most prestigious universities. Prestigious. Did you know the etymology of prestige is deception, trick, illusion? Anyway, though, some of our most prestigious universities like Harvard are under attack, and so now people are paying attention. But education been under attack for a long time. People should have saw the cracks with the whole anti-CRT thing when they were attacking just honest history. You don't want honesty and truth in education. Hello. Because that is not consistent with the narratives that are necessary for power to remain concentrated, for the elites to remain elites. Because the reality is these motherfuckers actually regular as they actually mediocre as and they done lucked up on an opportunity, they done lucked up on a relationship, on a network that has allowed them to exploit it. Or the ones who are talented are surrounded by people who are mediocre AF and have become mediocre because now it's just a race to keep what you have and amass more, not to evolve and develop and grow as a person, right? Basically, any attempt to shape people or to give people access or to give people even the opportunity to evolve and grow and learn and break free from these paradigms that produce these kind of electoral outcomes by design, that produce these kind of regimes by design. By paying attention that Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker don't do nothing, Chuck Schumer don't do nothing, ain't been doing nothing. They ain't been doing nothing. That's why they took that job, because all of their needs is going to be taken care of. They're going to collect the check. They're going to do a performance here or there on the floor here or there, and they're going to walk away scotty. What? Draw of these opportunities is the way one gets to kind of relish in malfeasance, relish in corruption, relish in ineffectiveness and incompetence, right? Trump has just supersized it and put it on a global stage in a way that now we're all embarrassed and concerned. The other ones did it quietly enough that we were allowed to keep our intact. Right. And so these people are not interested in an empowered populace because they know an empowered populace would make different decisions. What happened when people got on TikTok and started listening and talking? Minds started changing. We started talking real stuff. All of a sudden now the narrative control, and they're scrambling to control it. So if you understand the amount of resources, I would probably put it up there with somewhere next to defense, if I'm being 100% honest, that they've put in keeping people uninformed, addicted and distracted, on fluff and lie, license, feel good rhetoric and exceptionalism and mythology. The American exceptionalism myth is what they've kept people high on. If you understand that as a big picture and you understand how hard people have to work in order to uncover this information, how many times when you were first on TikTok did you hear people say, oh my God, I did not know this. Oh my God, I cannot believe this. I've never heard this. How did I never learn this? This is the opposite of what I learned in school. And so if you understand the massive misinformation and disinformation campaign that is the American education system, that is the American political machine, that is the American capitalism machine, if you understand that as a core component of our governance structure, how are you more pissed at the victims of that system than you are at the people perpetrating it? This why we stuck. This why we stuck. This why. Because we spend more time doing this instead of recognizing that the machine is operating exactly the way it is supposed to. Are there some people who won't change, who are too afraid to change, who are absolutely? Are they the vast, overwhelming majority of people? I don't think so. If you could break people out of this, if you could give people enough breathing room that they're not worried about survival and they're able to just step back and interrogate, you would have less issues. You don't, because we don't, and we spend more time judging people who fall in victim to it than the people perpetrating it. That's why we stuck.